Welcome to the Federal Program Requirements for English Learner and Immigrant Students Training video, presented by the Kentucky Department of Education's Office of Continuous Improvement and Support, Division of School and Program Improvement. Participants in this training will gain an understanding of the requirements for serving English Learner or EL and immigrant students under Title I Part A, Title III Part A, and the Title III Immigrant Subgrant, as well as the Grant Management Application and Planning or GMAP system Title III applications. Beginning with ELs in Title I Part A. The enactment of the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, saw several requirements related to ELs move from Title III to Title I Part A. This includes requirements at the state, district, and school levels. These changes allow Title I funds to be used for a broader range of EL-related purposes. Districts must have enough ELs to generate a minimum amount of funds in order to be eligible to receive the Title III grant. Title I Part A has no such requirement. Every district in the country receives a Title I Part A allocation. Many of the Title I Part A requirements are related to assessment and accountability. Beginning with the English Language Proficiency Standards requirement found in ESSA Section 1111B1F. Each state must adopt English Language Proficiency, or ELP, standards that are derived from the 4 recognized domains of speaking, listening, reading, and writing, address the different proficiency levels of ELs, and are aligned with the challenging state academic standards. As a member of the WIDA Consortium, Kentucky adopted the WIDA English Language Development, or ELD, standards to meet this requirement. Next is the English Language Proficiency Assessment required by ESSA Section 1111B2G. Each state must demonstrate that LEAs will provide an annual assessment of ELP of all ELs, and that the assessment is aligned with the state's ELP standards. Note, this requirement has always been included under Title I Part A. ESSA merely removed the identical requirement from Title III. As a member of the WIDA Consortium, Kentucky uses WIDA's Access for ELL's suite of assessments as our annual ELP assessment. The next requirement is accountability for the English Learner subgroup, required by ESSA Section 1111B3B. Former ELs are to be included in the EL subgroup for accountability purpose for 4 years. Prior to ESSA, they were included for only 2 years. The next requirement is accountability related to long-term goals required by ESSA Section 1111C4A2. Each state must establish ambitious, state-designed, long-term goals, which include measures for ELs for proficiency on content assessments and increases in the percentage of ELs making progress in achieving ELP within a state-determined timeline. Districts receiving Title I funds are now held accountable for this measure rather than only districts receiving Title III funds. The final assessment and accountability requirement is related to annual meaningful differentiation and is required by ESSA Section 1111C4C. Accountability determinations known under No Child Left Behind as Adequate Yearly Progress, or AYP, are now known as Annual Meaningful Differentiation, or AMD. AMD includes separate accountability indicators for ELs and the requirement to include differentiation for underperforming subgroups. A school may be identified for Targeted Support and Improvement, or TSI, based solely on the academic performance of the EL subgroup, allowing school improvement funds to be used for ELs for the first time. Since all districts receive Title I Part A funds, all districts must meet these requirements. In the case of districts with no EL students currently enrolled, you must still be familiar with these requirements and be prepared to meet them should an EL student enroll. ESSA Section 1112E includes several requirements related to the parents of ELs. This includes parent notification, parent outreach, and notice and format. Section E of the English Learners and Title III non-regulatory guidance contains additional information on these topics. First is parent notification. ESSA Section 1112E3A and B requires each district provide parents with notification of their child's identification as an EL and their placement in a language instruction educational program, or LIEP. The notification must be provided no later than 30 calendar days after the beginning of the school year or within the first 2 weeks, which is 14 calendar days, of placement in an LIEP for students who enroll after the start of the school year. ESSA requires the parent notification include the following information: the reason for the identification of the child as an EL, the child's level of English language proficiency, how the level was assessed, and the status of the child's academic achievement, methods of instruction used in the program in which the child is or will be participating, and the methods of instruction used in other available programs, including how the programs differ, how the program will meet the educational strengths and needs of the child and help the child achieve English language proficiency and meet academic standards. Exit requirements for the program, expected rate of transition to a classroom not tailored for EL students, and expected rate of high school graduation. In the case of a child with a disability, how the program meets the annual goals in the child's Individualized Education Program, or IEP, and information regarding the parent's right to withdraw the child from a program upon their request and to decline enrollment or choose another program or method of instruction if available. Parent participation and outreach. ESSA Section 1112E3C states that each district must implement an effective means of outreach to the parents of all ELs to inform them of how they can be involved in the education of their children and be active participants in assisting their children to attain English proficiency, achieve at high levels within a well-rounded education, and meet the challenging state academic standards expected of all students. Implementing an effective means of outreach must include holding and sending notice of opportunities for regular meetings for the purpose of formulating and responding to recommendations from the parents of ELs. Please note the wording of regular meetings is plural, indicating that there must be more than one meeting. The meeting requirements, these meetings must be specifically for the parents of ELs and cannot be held at the same time as another meeting for parents. Some examples of meeting topics that some districts have utilized would be information about English language proficiency or access testing, or information to help parents adjust to the American school system, how the grading system works, the roles of the teacher, parent, and student, etc. Notice and format. ESSA Section 1112E4 requires the notice and information provided to parents be in an understandable and uniform format, and to the extent practicable, provided in a language that the parents can understand. The district's Title I Part A plan, meaning the application within GMAP, must assure that the program will coordinate and integrate services provided under Title I Part A with other educational services at the district or school level, such as services for ELs, in order to increase program effectiveness, eliminate duplication, and reduce fragmentation of the instructional program. And this requirement is found in ESSA Section 1112C4. The Title I program should support and supplement the district's core EL program, as well as work in cooperation with the EL and/or Title III programs in order to maximize resources. The program should collaborate to design programs and interventions which address the needs of EL students. The regular sharing of information and expertise will allow all programs to provide effective services to ELs. Some guiding questions related to the use of Title I Part A funds for ELs. Is the Title I supplemental to the core EL program provided by state and local funds? Is Title I supplemental to civil rights obligations? Can the district ensure the Title I school is receiving sufficient state and local funds for EL programs? Is an EL workshop or professional development for teachers a sustained activity? And is the school or district avoiding the unnecessary segregation of EL students? Moving on to Title III, we'll first discuss what Title III is and what Title III is not. Title III is language instruction, professional development, academic achievement, family and community programs. Title III funds may be used for supplemental materials or technology, as well as administrative expenses. Title III is not related to the core EL program, general activities, interpretation or translation, federal or state mandated assessments. Title III funds are not used on unlicensed staff or to provide anything for fluent or native English speakers or activities required by other laws. Districts are not required to participate in Title III. Funds generated under Title III for districts declining to participate will be redistributed among the participating districts. Title III funds cannot be transferred to another federal program. It's important for all districts to understand the basics of the Title III program, even if they do not currently participate. The number of districts participating in the Title III program is increasing every year. A deeper understanding of the program will help coordinators determine if it's right for their district. This section covers the requirements for districts participating in the Title III program. There's a federal requirement to qualify, which is that the district must have enough EL students to generate a minimum of $10,000 for a standalone program. Districts not generating that $10,000 may join together with other districts in a consortium to reach that $10,000 amount. There is no set number of EL students required to generate that amount. It's dependent on the total Title III allocation that the state receives. LEAs must use their Title III funds for supplemental purposes, which include effective EL instruction, effective professional development for all staff, as well as parent, family, and community engagement. Effective EL instruction is required under ESSA Section 3115A. Districts are obligated under the Civil Rights Act to provide ELs with a language assistance program that is educationally sound and proven successful. Title III funds must supplement and not supplant all civil rights obligations. ESSA also requires language instruction educational programs to be effective. Effective EL instruction refers to approaches and methodologies for teaching ELs. Effective approaches and methodologies should meet the 3 Castaneda standards. As a reminder, Castaneda v. Pickard court case is covered in the Introduction to Serving English Learner and Immigrant Students video. The Castaneda standards set the criteria for evaluating the adequacy of a district's EL program. The standards include qualified teachers implementing sound theory, including the training of staff, soundness of education approach, effective teaching methods, including resources and personnel, and that school districts must evaluate their programs and make adjustments where needed to ensure language barriers are actually being overcome. Effective EL instruction also increases English language proficiency by providing effective language instruction education programs, LIEPs, that meet the needs of ELs and demonstrate success in achieving English language proficiency, or ELP, and academic achievement. They also build capacity to continue to offer effective LIEPs that assist ELs in meeting challenging state academic standards, and include in the local plan for a Title III subgrant a description of the effective programs and activities that will be provided, including LIEPs. We have several use of funds scenarios to determine whether or not Title III funds could be used in these situations. Scenario 1. Your district is purchasing tablets for all students in the district and would like to use Title III funds to pay for tablets used by the EL population currently enrolled. The tablets will be used for all students to gain access to curriculum in the home and also will allow EL students an opportunity to participate in bilingual material or translation services to help with understanding core content and assignments. Would this be considered supplemental? The answer is no. The same funding source that purchased tablets for the other students would need to be used for the EL students in order to avoid supplanting. Scenario 2. Your district pays the partial salary of a certified EL teacher to provide additional service to newcomer students who've recently enrolled. Would this be considered supplemental? The answer is yes. Paying staff to provide specialized services in addition to those activities provided by the core LIEP would be allowable for Title III funds as long as all civil rights obligations were already being met. Accurate and up-to-date time and effort maintenance would be required in this situation, and you can find more information about that in the time and effort section of the district guide for the English Learners Program. When determining whether an LIEP is effective, districts should consider the following. Is it driven by data on the unique needs of ELs? Aligned with local needs assessments? Based on rigorous, relevant research on instructional approaches proven effective for promoting English language proficiency and high academic achievement? Is it examined through performance monitoring and program evaluation as part of continuous improvement of LIEP implementation and effectiveness? And is it included as part of a systemic approach to serving ELs based on the English language proficiency standards and state content standards? For more information on ways to improve student outcomes using evidence, see the Using Evidence to Strengthen Education Investments non-regulatory guidance. Districts must use Title III funds to provide effective professional development, or PD, for teachers and principals of ELs that meets the following characteristics. Designed to improve the instruction and assessment of ELs. Designed to enhance the implementation of curriculum, assessment measures and practices, and instructional strategies for ELs. Effective in increasing ELP and subject matter knowledge, and teaching skills of teachers. And is of sufficient intensity and duration to have a positive and lasting impact on the teacher's performance in the classroom. Statutory requirements of professional development. How do LEAs determine if a PD meets statutory requirements and demonstrates effectiveness with regards to language development and academic outcomes for ELs? They should ensure activities are part of state, district, and school criteria, strategies, goals, and improvement plans. They're collaborative and job embedded, data-driven and classroom focused, developed in consultation with the appropriate stakeholders, regularly evaluated for their impact on increased teacher effectiveness and academic achievement to improve the quality of the training, provide follow-up training to ensure knowledge and skills are implemented in classrooms, allow personalized plans for each educator to address their specific needs identified during observations or other feedback, and advance teacher understanding of effective instructional strategies that are evidence-based for improving student achievement. Next is a professional development scenario to determine if Title III funds could be used here. Your district would like to send the EL staff to the National WIDA Annual Conference. Your professional development plan would be for EL staff to bring back materials, topics, and resources to disseminate to school staff during PLC meetings, staff meetings, and/or other designated district or school PD opportunities. The goals would be to provide content teachers with the knowledge and skills to provide instruction and appropriate language support in the mainstream classrooms. EL staff would collaborate with content teachers during PLCs to discuss strategies implemented and evaluate the effectiveness of the resources and strategies used. Would this be an allowable activity for Title III funds? The answer is yes. While some WIDA materials would not be allowable purchases with Title III funds, using Title III funds to provide professional development opportunities to all staff that would have a lasting impact on the teacher's performance in the classroom is a required activity of Title III funds. Parent, family, and community engagement. LEAs receiving Title III funds must conduct parent, family, and community engagement in addition to the requirements of other programs. LEAs may use Title III funds to coordinate and align related programs for ELs, which may include programs for parents and families of ELs, as well as provide community participation programs, family literacy services, and parent and family outreach and training activities in order to assist in helping their children to improve academic achievement and become active participants in the education of their children. Next, we have a few parent engagement scenarios. Your district would like to use Title III funds to pay for notifications and light snacks to encourage parents of EL students to attend PSP meetings. Would this be an allowable activity for Title III funds? The answer is no. Any required activity of other programs or civil rights obligations would not be an allowable use of Title III funds. Scenario 2, your district would like to use Title III funds to provide English as a second language courses for parents of ELs to assist them in supporting their child's academic achievement. Would this be an allowable activity for Title III funds? The answer is yes. ESSA permits districts to use Title III funds in order to provide community participation programs, family literacy services, as well as parent and family outreach and training opportunities. Title III also has an Immigrant Subgrant. Immigrant children and youth. The term immigrant children and youth is covered in our Introduction to Serving English Learner and Immigrant Students training video. Refers to individuals who are ages 3 through 21, were not born in any state, and have not been attending one or more schools in any one or more states for more than 3 full academic years. As a reminder, those 3 full academic years do not have to be consecutive. USED's Fact Sheet 2, Additional Questions and Answers on Enrolling New Immigrant Students, provides additional information on immigrant students. As stated in the Introduction to Serving English Learner and Immigrant Students video, it should be noted that immigrant students placed in Health and Human Services shelters after crossing the border are not enrolled in local schools, but do receive educational services and other care from providers who run HHS shelters. Time spent in HHS shelters does not count as time spent in a U.S. school. KDE verified this with USED via an email in November of 2019. Immigrant subgrant eligibility. Districts have experienced a significant increase as compared to the average of the 2 preceding fiscal years in the percentage or number of immigrant children and youth. All districts are eligible, not just those receiving Title III grants. The data for this determination is pulled and calculated by KDE in October. The immigrant subgrant required activities are as follows. Family literacy, parent and family outreach and training activities designed to assist parents and families to become active participants in the education of their children. Recruitment of and support for personnel, including teachers and paraprofessionals who've been specifically trained or are being trained to provide services to immigrant children and youth. The provision of tutorials, mentoring, and academic or career counseling for immigrant children and youth, and identification, development, and acquisition of curricular materials, educational software, and technologies to be used in the program. Additional subgrant required activities. Basic instruction services that are directly attributable to the presence of immigrant children and youth in the LEA, including the payment of costs of providing additional classroom supplies, costs of transportation, or such other costs as are directly attributable to such additional basic instruction services. Other instruction services that are designed to assist immigrant children and youth to achieve in elementary and secondary schools in the U.S., such as programs of introduction to the educational system and civics education, and activities coordinated with community-based organizations, institutions of higher education, private sector entities, or other entities with experience in working with immigrants to assist parents and families of immigrant children and youth by offering comprehensive community services. The Title III application as well as the Title III Immigrant Subgrant application are both located in the Grant Management Application Planning or GMAP system as part of the Consolidated application. This system helps districts maximize the use of their grant dollars from federal non-competitive programs. It allows districts to apply for and manage grant applications, provides monitoring, approval, and reporting functionality for KDE staff. The Title III Intent to Participate is completed by all districts annually in GMAP. Districts must select the appropriate budget option for the upcoming school year. The options are as follows. District generates $10,000 or more and will function as a standalone system. Districts selecting this option will complete a Title III EL application in GMAP. District will act as the fiscal agent for other districts. Districts selecting this option will also complete a Title III application in GMAP. And they will include the information not only for their district, but for the districts who are consortium members. District will join a consortium to utilize Title III EL funds. Districts selecting this option will select the district serving as their fiscal agent from a drop-down list, but will not complete a Title III EL application in GMAP. District generates $10,000 or more, but is releasing all generated Title III funds, including Title III immigrant funds. Districts selecting this option will not complete a Title III EL or Title III immigrant application in GMAP. And the final option, district does not generate $10,000 or more and will not join a consortium to utilize Title III EL funds. Districts selecting this option will not complete a Title III EL application in GMAP. As previously stated, the Title III application is part of the Consolidated application along with Titles 1, 2, 4, and 5. The applications for these programs travel through the system as the Consolidated application. The application must be completed by standalone districts as well as consortium fiscal agents. Applications are reviewed in the order in which they are submitted. Districts cannot draw down funds until the application receives initial approval, and districts will revise the application several times throughout the year. As previously stated, members of consortiums do not complete an application in GMAP. However, information about their programs, services, budget, etc. are included in the fiscal agent's application. It's important for districts participating in consortiums to provide this information to their fiscal agents in a timely fashion, as the fiscal agent is responsible for completing the application in GMAP for all LEAs in the consortium. Revisions are required when USAID releases a revised allocation amount, as well as when the district needs to make a change to their original approved application. The consolidated application workflow. The application begins in the district. The district coordinator of each applicable program completes their section of the consolidated application and submits it for review by the district finance officer. The finance officer reviews all sections of the application and either approves it or returns it to the coordinator for revisions. After the finance officer approves it, the application is submitted to the superintendent for review. The superintendent reviews all sections of the application, either approves or returns it for revisions. Once the superintendent approves the application, KDE program consultants will review their section of the application and mark it as either approved or needs attention. After all sections have been reviewed, the application will be returned to the district as either approved or not approved. Since the application is consolidated, it cannot be approved until each individual program application is approved. As previously mentioned, districts cannot draw down funds until the entire application is approved. Looking specifically at the Title III application, districts begin on the program details page, and the page contains 3 sections. First, the district must select which purpose or purposes of Title III will be met this year. They'll need to select at least one of those. The program description section includes questions about the district's core LIEP as well as the Title III program. This helps KDE verify that supplement, not supplant requirements are being met. Districts must also provide information regarding how the Title III program will be evaluated, parent, family, and community engagement that will be provided, and equitable services to eligible private school students if applicable. The final section, the district selects which language instruction educational programs or LIEPs are being implemented. If any of the selected LIEPs includes instruction in a language other than English, districts will list those languages. That does not refer to the languages that your EL students speak, but the language that the LIP is being given in. A portion of Title III funds must be used to provide effective professional development. At the top of the page, district lists the amount of funds allocated for PD. GMAP will automatically calculate the percentage of the total Title III allocation reserved for PD. While there is no minimum percentage required for this purpose, districts must allocate an amount sufficient to provide effective PD. Next, narratives must be provided to describe how the PD will meet Title III requirements, how the district will ensure the PD is effective, and how information from PD will be disseminated to all staff serving ELs. For reporting purposes, districts must provide information regarding PD provided during the previous school year. This includes selecting the types of PD offered, as well as indicating the total number of participants for all EL-related PD. Districts opting to pay staff with Title III funds must list that staff on the personnel details page. EL staff not paid with Title III funds should not be listed on this page. Be sure to record this information in the correct category. School-based instruction and support staff refers to staff working at a single school site. System-wide instruction and support refers to staff working at multiple school sites. And system-wide administration refers to staff providing administrative duties, typically at the central office. Include a head count and full-time equivalency, or FTE, for all staff. Head count represents the number of people paid with Title III funds and must always be a whole number. FTE stands for full-time equivalency and represents the percentage of salary being paid with Title III funds. For example, full-time would be an FTE of 1.0, whereas 20% of a salary would be an FTE of 0.2. The FTE cannot be greater than the head count. The last page of the application is the budget page. Each budget entry requires a narrative. Narratives do not have to be exhaustively detailed, but should include an adequate description and give the reviewer an idea of how each category will be used. Expenses on the budget should align with uses described throughout the application, and each budgeted item must meet the allowable, allocable, and reasonable requirement. The Immigrant Subgrant application includes a program details page in which the district should select from a list of allowable activities to be provided to eligible immigrant students, provide a description of the immigrant program plan, and explain how supplement not supplant requirements will be met. The application also includes a budget page. The same requirements detailed under the Title III budget page apply to the Immigrant Subgrant budget page as well. The Immigrant Subgrant application does not open at the same time as the Title III EL application because the data to determine allocation amounts is not pulled until October. Any questions about the English Learner Program or the Title III program can be directed to the Office of Continuous Improvement and Support, Division of School and Program Improvement, English Learners, Migrant, and Neglected Students Branch. The phone number is 502-564-3791, and a list of program consultant email addresses is available on the English Learners Contact Guide. As always, a number of resources were consulted in creating this training. They've been provided for you here, divided into sections such as Title I Part A, Title III, and other resources. Thank you.